welcome to the WoodsTalk Podcast. Ladies and gents, welcome back to the WoodsTalk Podcast with me, freelance window licker Rory Woods, and my special guests, #plural, the hosts of the Popped Kernels Podcast, returning guest Jordan Robinson. Jordan, how are you?
I'm fucking fantastic. Glad to be back.
You should be. And first timer on the WoodsTalk Podcast, Heather Anderson. How's it going, Heather?
Oh, grand. I'm hopped up on sugar-free Sprite and ready to chat shit.
Off the Norks on Sprite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, is not all Sprite sugar-free now. There's
No,
nothing.
well, I lied. I wanted to sound healthy. This is full sugar Sprite. Kind of looks
I
like water,
I don't think they do full sugar Sprite anymore.
Really?
Sugar's like always the second ingredient.
Yeah,
There's
that's
loads, no?
what you think. That's what they want you to think.
I've been bamboozled by Big Sprite.
No, because I'm almost sure because when I was working in the points, I was like, where's all the regular Sprite? And then they were like, this is the only Sprite we do now, and it's no sugar. And I'm
That's
like,
gaslighting,
what?
and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's psycho shit, man.
People drink sink of their own agenda.
But I thought it was just something along the lines of you can get it, but it's dearer. Do you know what I mean? You can get stuff with sugar. You know the way when you go to McDonald's, it's like 20p more to get actual like Coke with sugar in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like sugar tax shit. Do you know what I mean?
Black
Yeah.
market Iron Brew.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I didn't realise that news just swayed past me. I don't know how I've got this far in life without knowing that.
I mean, like, if the Tories want me to vote for them, number one, just put more sugar in drinks. That's all I want.
Do you reckon the Tories would be a good name for a band? Do you know what I mean? The Tories, live from Voodoo.
Yeah, but is it like spelled D-A Tories, like Frankie Dettori, and it's just like a jockey themed like ska band? Because I would go see them. Like, I really would.
I was thinking more Toreeeez. The Tories, because they're clearly going to be doing hip hop. Do you know what I mean? They're opening for Heavy D and the Boys and Voodoo. That's literally the only rap reference I have. I don't listen to a lot of it. Heavy D and the Boys.
Jazzy Jeff still spinning records, or what's happening?
Warren G, he's a good lad. And him and Gina and Kenny, the full family, all there. So I'll come to you first, Taylor, because the last time Jordan was on this podcast, you were just about to kick off Popped Kernels, I believe. Wasn't that right, Jordan? Just eat your apple, sure.
Oh, it's a peach.
It's a peach. Of all things to eat on a podcast.
I know, it's possibly the worst thing.
Most squelchy and crisp food.
Squelchy and pretentious,
Just
the Jordan
lean into the
Robinson
mic
story.
more.
Don't even chew, just let it sort of slowly go down like a snake eating a fucking butternut squash.
Like a pelican situation.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
But
Sorry.
yeah, so the last time you were on, Jordan, you were like, me and Heather are starting a podcast soon, and you were telling
Don't
me the
sound like
crap.
that, but yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
If I was deliberately doing a bad impression, I nailed it, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
But from your point of view, Heather,
You easily kind of accent into it as well. But yeah, no, we started that. Fuck, I don't know, Heather. How long ago was it?
I mean, every day feels like the day before, so it could have been a week, could have been 2 years. An amount of time has passed.
We've recorded 2 episodes. 20 episodes, and released like 15?
16? 7? Numbers, the letters
all
of
the
mass.
numbers. Yeah. But so for anybody that doesn't know, Heather, if you can describe Popped Kernels to anybody that mightn't have listened as yet.
Films, ever heard of them? The podcast.
If you haven't checked out films before, get on it ASAP.
Ever heard of films? Ever heard of Letterboxd? If you've never heard of Letterboxd, email them and get them to sponsor us. 'Cause this is all that I need.
There has been no movement on the Letterboxd sponsorship. If there's any cross demographic between podcasts, no. We just want it so bad, and I think that's why it's not happening. Is because we want it that much.
Yeah. It is good though that finally somebody's talking about films on the internet because nobody else has ever done that. So
I know,
fair play
it's
to you two.
Yeah,
Pioneers.
distinct lack of opinions.
Yeah. Who
Owner that market, baby.
bring on the dollar? Who do you think? I'll come to you first, Tyler. What's the worst type of film fan? Is it like comic book nerds, or is it sci-fi nerds, or like horror nerds?
Very specifically, anyone who like really fucking loves Tarantino.
Right. Okay. Niche, but okay.
Oh my god.
What?
If I have to sit like in a smoking area and listen to a man be like, hey, you should watch Pulp Fiction, it's really cool. I'll be like, wow, never heard of it. You're a real maverick.
Yeah. Is it Tarantino in general annoy, like, do you just not rate him, or is it the fans that only be like, I'm a massive Tarantino fan, but it's always Pulp Fiction? It's like the most vanilla mainstream answer you could give. There's never any niche people going, I actually quite like Jackie Brown. You know what I mean? Is it like that? Yeah.
You're not
Like-
Jackie Brown.
I got like
Jackie Brown's the best.
I really like old Tortellini, but like it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just his fan base in general. I'm like, have you ever looked out the window, like seasoned your food? You know, it's just like, and like I remember whenever I was in uni, we had to watch Death Proof, and I was like, this is really fucking good. And then this guy in the lecture was like, it's just a bunch of girls sitting around chatting. I was like, have you ever watched a Tarantino film? It's just people talking about guns.
Yeah. Tarantino invented podcasting. It's just very high concept, unbelievable looking podcasts, and very, very violent podcasts. You know what I mean? If we were all in the same room, if Tarantino was directing this podcast, we'd be speaking about your podcast, but we'd have hurley bats and we'd just be knocking the fuck out of each other, and they'd be playing Earth, Wind and Fire in the background or something.
I was just gonna go like John Travolta. He's there.
But I think you're definitely on this one there, Heather, with the Tarantino thing, because for me, I'm a Kurt Russell fan, so I adore Death Proof. But when you tell people that, particularly Tarantino fans, they look at you as if you just like pished on a family member. Do you know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
and as if like it doesn't affect you that I like this film. It's not as if I just burst into your house when you're having a yite and just hold it up on my tablet when you're having a shit. I'm not invasive. I like the film, but people get very insulted when you say you like Death Proof. You know what I mean?
I don't get it. I mean, there's a gnarly fucking car crash scene. There's lots of feet. Kurt Russell
Yeah.
is really on the tally of like Tarantino things. It's the top.
Yeah. It's easy just to slag it because Tarantino's like, it's the worst film I've done, but that's still pretty good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's still a very decent.
Yeah, like it's
Like if
not a-
Nolan said that, you'd be like, "Oh, that's still very good, Chris." You know what I mean? I'm like first name terms him, Chris.
yeah, it's not like a Queen's final year student film level of bad, but
Yeah. Is
you know.
is that what you did at university? Did you do film as well?
I did film with English, so I kind of did the most boring parts of
Yeah.
2 degrees.
I did film as well. Was it Queens or was it?
Queen's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a load of bollocks, isn't it? In general. Yeah.
I know how to read books, and I have a lot of opinions about films no one's ever gonna watch.
Yeah, I've fallen asleep to films from Ghana. You know what I mean? That was my degree. Just going, oh, this is bollocks. Jordan, what about you, man? What do you think is the worst type of film fan?
I hate people who hate other people's opinions on Quentin Tarantino.
Get fucked, buddy.
The fandom that I dislike the most, obviously, present company excluded from this, but people who think that the Marvel movies are up there with some of the best movies ever made.
Ooh.
Yeah, who was that directed at more so?
Yep.
Me, because you know I'm a DC guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair
I
enough.
mean,
Yeah.
like, not just Marvel movies, but like comic book movies. in
Oh
general.
yeah, no, I would agree. Like I'm definitely a DC guy, but when you hear people say that like Thor Ragnarok is up there with like The Godfather and Goodfellas and stuff, it's such a weird sentence to hear. Like Captain America, the first
Citizen
of it.
Kane of our generation. Thank you very much.
Driving Miss Daisy, Platoon. Then we got Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. The Conversation, Iron Man 3, The Lives of Others, Captain Marvel. They're all similar to here. That's the thing though. It's like, particularly you might have remembered this, Heather, from like when you study film in any respect, you always get, and it's the same with music, you always get some dickhead that comes out with the loosest, most insane metaphor of all time. Will they say something like, Beverly Hills Chihuahua is the fucking, the Casablanca of dog related films, and you're like, fuck up, Jared. It's always Jared or Eugene. And you're like, mate, fuck up. The same with music. We're like, Dead Mouse is actually the Led Zeppelin of dance music. And you're like, shush and get out of my garden.
See, I started doing that, like, ironically in my last year of uni because it pissed loads of people off, and I found that very, very funny, and now I can't stop.
Just ingrained
so
in
I'm
your
like,
head.
Josie and the Pussycats is the best movie ever. Like, what are you going to do? Fight me on it?
But, like, I hate fake people when it comes to films, first and foremost. Like, I don't know if you find this, but the people that just have, like, the total film empire, like, film taste, where it's like, what are your favourite films? Back to the Future, Lord of the Rings, but like, it's just a real, no niche stuff whatsoever. It's always that sort of shit. But, like, when I was doing Film at Queens, they asked everybody what the favourite films were, and it was always like Gone with the Wind was in there, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, shitloads. And then the minute I said Big Trouble in Little China, everybody laughed at me, and I was like, hey, you may fuck up. I'm allowed to like what I like.
Hands.
Do you know what I mean? And people were just like, oh my god, look at that fucking specky lesbian who likes John Carpenter films. And you're like, here, leave me alone, please. Do you know what I mean? Have you killed? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see the problem. That is actually the worst. When you meet people like that, I just feel sorry that it's beige as fuck. It's beige.
It's very like, okay, I remember when I read the IMDb top 100 movies for the first time, but I also didn't base my entire personality on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel safe. Thanks very much.
Sorry to dunk on Jordan in the chat, but
why you gotta do me dirty like this? No, like, admittedly, like, Woodsy, for example, your favorite movie is Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Heather, Harold and Maude. Jordan, I want to say Shawshank Redemption.
I've never seen it. Stop bringing it up.
Have you not seen it right enough? Oh my god, Heather.
It's one of those movies where, like, I have a list where so many people have been like, oh, you haven't seen it? Then I'm like, I'm never going to watch it now because you've pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like, I have an idea of what it's about. I think we actually discussed this, Jordan, before. But like, my idea of what it's like or what the film's about ended up being like Chicken Run.
The Shawshank Redemption. That's what.
And then I think that's even like the wrong movie anyway. What's that one where they dig like a tunnel?
Yeah, The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. Yeah.
Slightly different.
It's one of the best films of all time, The Great Escape, in the way that obviously you have the sort of Ocean's 11-esque vibe where everybody's got their role, but the guy who was the forger was going blind, and the guy who was digging the tunnel was claustrophobic, and you're like, who fucking designated these roles? The cunt's blind. He's sitting there just.
It's perfect. It's a perfect replica, and it's just some toilet paper.
They're all underdogs.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking get the Specsavers and to the guy in the tunnel. It's just like, I don't like silly close spaces.
I'm having a panic attack. Oh dear.
Get me out. That's what we're trying to do, fucker.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal here.
Yeah. So when you were last on, Jordan, we spoke about films that you felt were amazing that got critically or generally panned, and your example of that was Jaws 3. What about you, Heather? What's a film that doesn't get the love it deserves? I watched Jaws 3 after you said that, Jordan, and I liked it.
Hey, there we go.
I did like it.
Two people.
I'm not pandering, but like, I did like it. Like, tough wank, but I got.
Of course.
I got there in the end.
That's where me and you are different, Woodsy. I found it easy.
You don't even get to like the credits, and you're knackered, and you're.
Even get to when the shark comes to be up his face.
You're just lying sprawled out with this pavlova on your chest. You know what I mean? Just... So Heather, you can give me a few examples because I know I'll put you on the spot a wee bit.
I think, off the top of my head, Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. I love it so much. Everyone in that movie knows what they were cast to do, and they did it.
Yeah, that's true. It was the same with the first one, where they're like, this is a kid's film, but you see Sarah Michelle Gellar's hole so many times in that film, and Linda Cardellini's Milkers quite a bit, and they're like, this is a kid's film, and you're like, I can see what she had for lunch. Do you know what I mean?
Something for the dads, huh?
Something for everybody.
This was good.
Real family flick.
This was good. I like this. You know what I mean? You get like the old school Northern Irish dad.
As a child, no, we talked about this on the podcast. Like, a lot of our sexual tastes have all come from archetypes of Scooby-Doo characters.
Okay, one of you has to elaborate on that, please, because
I feel like
otherwise I'm ringing the police.
I have never met someone who hasn't been like, yeah, Scooby-Doo too. That's the way why I am the way I am.
Yeah, got a tattoo and everything.
It's just full of like bisexual panic.
I wish they called it that. Scooby-Doo. Bisexual panic.
It's just queer icon Scooby-Doo. That's all. That's my. Get that on my gravestone. Die on that hill.
So you do have to elaborate about the sexual thing though, about your sexual taste coming from Scooby-Doo characters. So is it like if there's a fella with blonde hair wearing a cravat and bell bottoms, he's getting bucked?
I think Fred is the only exception for me because I don't trust blonde men.
Right.
But yeah, they're all Nazis.
Blonde men who try to grow beards specifically. It just looks like flesh-colored hair. It's disgusting. Don't do it.
Yeah. What about Scrappy-Doo? He's a buck. Well, Scrappy.
I don't think
Flappy
at the
Doo,
end of the
we'll call
first one, whenever he gets all muscly, he kind of looks like Joe Rogan.
He does, and you know what
But
I mean?
a lot, like,
That's,
a foot taller.
that's an insult to Scrappy-Doo, to be honest. I'm saying he looks like Joe Rogan. That guy is just a fucking... Oh, I don't like that concept, if I'm being honest.
Like I find them interesting, the podcasts, if there's someone like specifically like a comedian or something that I like who's on the Joe Rogan Experience, I will listen to it. But I don't know, Joe Rogan just looks like if he was like voicing an animated character, it would be like an angry tumor.
Yeah.
Osmosis Jones too.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's just taking over Bill Murray's head. Oh no. I didn't speak that into being, so it doesn't count.
I've never actually like listened to the Joe Rogan podcast. So every time I hear him speak, like on like Instagram or whatever, because I follow him just purely for, you know, those post sauna pictures that he puts up, and he just looks like the most wild-eyed freak. He's always so sweaty. Get aircon, you're fucking minted. But he's so soft-spoken, it unnerves me.
Yeah, his voice doesn't match his appearance at all, because you know, like the Angry Tumor, which could be like a sequel to like Just Bigelow or something, couldn't it? From Dusk Till Dawn 9. Angry Tumor, and it's a vampiric tumor.
Starring Adam Sandler.
as the tumor and the guy fighting the tumor as well.
Yeah.
It's the inception of fucking performances. What else, Heather, sticks out for you as something that doesn't get the love it deserves?
Honestly,
is it just Scooby-Doo too? And you're so
75% of Brendan Fraser's filmography. It was gonna be brought up at some point.
Yeah,
I'm a real Fraser head.
I've seen on your social media, funny enough, you're massively into Brendan Fraser. I don't know what he's done recently outside of Doom Patrol, isn't he in that? But as someone you've always just loved, and then he just seemed to disappear for a while. It's like he went nowhere, and he came back 19 stone heavier, but still lovable.
He's gonna be in a Scorsese movie.
Is he?
What?
Yeah, like his next one. They're filming it now. Can't remember what it's called, but I was like, oh, he's gonna wear a little suit. He's gonna have a gun.
He's back, baby. Very Vengeance 2, directed by Martin Scorsese.
Imagine Scorsese beside him. That he would look like a fucking Russian doll. Do you know what I mean? Compared to Fraser, because Brendan Fraser's quite tall as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
How tall is he, Heather? You should know this. He's 7'5".
The only people whose heights that I know is Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, and my own. And I don't really even know why.
And just for pub quizzes, you need it. All the trivia. A trivia Newton-John.
Me and the boys. We
Yeah.
gotta get our heights right for when we eventually meet and ruin the world.
Know what I have
Even
to,
more than we already have.
do you know what I do have to say about the Scooby-Doo films that you brought up there? I have only seen Monsters Unleashed once, but weirdly, in terms of casting, it's pretty fucking bang on. Like, it might be up there for me with, like, weirdly, some of the best casting of all time, and
It's so
it's such a
good.
statement, but it really is fucking bang on. Like, you're like, Jesus Christ.
It's like whoever, I can't remember his name, but whoever did the casting for the Suicide Squad was like, never have I ever watched a movie where every 15 minutes I've gone, they're so hot. You know what I mean?
What, the most recent one, or they're like?
Yeah, the most recent one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially the shark, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, that was a cool wee
Yeah, that
role
was
for
crazy.
Stallone. I like that. But I think that, like, you know, in terms of, like, there's nothing worse than bad casting. Like, I still think of Russell Crowe in Les Miserables as what do you call it? What do you call it? I can't. Not Jean Valjean this league. Yeah, what do you call it? Javert, whatever he's called.
I haven't seen it.
Have you not? Have you seen anything
No.
bar Scooby-Doo 2 and Brendan Fraser's entire vast filmography
Now you mention it, there are some gaps.
between 81 and 2019?
I mean,
He's talking to no one. That's so sad. It's just a doctor checking up on him.
my main 3 points of reference for culture is like Bloodsport, Scooby-Doo 2, and Dudley Do-Right.
In that order. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's a weird movie marathon, but just go with it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it will work. They all have good soundtracks. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring up soundtracks on this podcast because obviously I quite like music as well. I'm one of those people. And I was
Wow.
trying, I know, like this guy, I'm
Ever
just,
heard of it?
I'm just so interesting. Do you know what I mean? But I did want to ask both of yous, for you personally, and again, this will probably be something in Scooby-Doo 2 or whatever. It's probably, because usually in Scooby-Doo films, it was always like a pop punk band doing like I Want Candy or something like that.
Yeah.
There it was like Good Charlotte or Simple Plan doing Grace or something like that. Newfound Glory doing, you know what I mean, The Hills of Connemara or some shit. But for you, Jordy, by best use of songs and films, any stick out immediately?
Surely it has to be "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies in Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it's quintessential 90. Oh, don't you look at me like that, Heather. Don't you look at me like that. What? Is Fight Club another one of those movies? Is it your Shawshank Redemption?
I don't trust anyone who ever brings it up.
That's fair.
I don't trust a lot of people, really.
I really like on Twitter, on Edward Norton's birthday, everybody wishes Brad Pitt a happy birthday. I like that.
That's cool. I like that. So, Where's My Mind by the Pixies? Anything else jump out at you? No. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take it easy.
The end of the podcast. No, I can't really think.
What about you, Heather? While Jordy, keep thinking, Jordy and Heather will chime in with something from an early Brendan Fraser film.
I think perfect. You know the "Don't Stop Me Now" bit in Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, we had to watch that as part of our degree. Funny enough, that whole bit. That's
Chef's kiss.
That's a very good show, because I always wonder when I watch that, was there other choices for songs? Because it seems
There
so.
must have been.
It does seem so easy now when you
like-
see it, but it must have been. There could have been like different tracks in there. I'm not saying like the fast food rockers or anything like that, but maybe even another Queen song. And anytime Queen's been used in a film, most of the time it's pretty good. Between Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World, and then anything they did for Highlander, you know, like Who Wants to Live Forever, Princes of the Universe. That's all very decent, in my opinion.
Because I think your guy Edgar Wright, who like the director guy, ever heard of him? He like started out doing music videos and stuff. So
That's right,
like,
yeah.
ugh,
The guy's good,
like
man.
Baby Driver, the entire fucking movie's great.
Yeah, that's a really good show. Jordy just perked up there for some reason.
Yeah, I got
Just the word baby gets him going. That's what he loves. Kojak. Just have a wife to Kojak. Who loves you, baby?
remember like about 10 minutes ago when I was bitching about Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man from Iron Man. That was pretty cool.
That was
Is it-
pretty cool. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Black Sabbath.
Yeah. No, whenever people say
heard
Iron Man, my first thing that comes to head is like the Iron Giant, so it's always a bit jarring. So I'm like, that's not a fun picture. It's notoriously sad.
Imagine Downey Jr. voicing the Iron Giant. How different a sarky bastard. That would have been cool. Like, I would have enjoyed that. I want to put forward, what was the one I had? I had a really good fucking example there. Any Queen stuff. I might have to come back to it. I had a really good fucking one to suggest as well. What was it? Something I can't even remember, but I'll keep it in mind. But definitely, I feel like, you know, I would say maybe the Shaun of the Dead, Don't Stop Me Now bit might be at least Mount Rushmore level for like song choice. Do you know what I mean?
In day one.
Because sometimes it just comes across contrived. You know what I mean? Where it's like trying to be cool. It doesn't really fit the scene, but you know, for like Ben Affleck's Daredevil film, all the Evanescence stuff, and then I think Rob Zombie did a track with Drowning Pool, The Man Without Fear. What's right?
Was it More Human Than Human?
No, it was called The Man Without Fear, but it sounded like something from that record. But it had like all the Evanescence stuff, and then all those bands that were like a slightly heavier Pearl Jam rip-off that had like like Seether and stuff like that there. It's like oh shit, and you're like, stop trying to be Eddie Vedder, please. You're annoying me. Do you know what I mean? So I think like Daredevil have to be one of those. Maybe the Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, the previous Suicide Squad was like that as well. It was very jarring. Every time there was an edit, there was a new track. Like Eminem, Creedence, Action Bronson, and then fucking Dominic Kerwin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Enya, The Verve. You know, just going fucking relax, man.
It's real, like, I've
take
just
your
made a new
Spotify off.
playlist and I hate every song in it. Skip, 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 skip.
Yeah, I think it definitely can be jarring sometimes, but you know, it's always cool for like song choices and when a score and a song comes together. You know what I mean? Example I wanted to give was in Into the Spider-Verse, when Miles becomes Spider-Man, he takes the leap. They have that sort of hip hop track playing over the like, and it melds into the score. That works really well for me. Like,
Yeah, it was Into the Spider-Verse was just one of those kind of absolute gems where I don't think that I wasn't expecting much from it, but it was like after getting out of the cinema, you're like, yeah, let's go see that again.
yeah, it's like a real fuck you to DC, because the whole DC Marvel debate, there's usually someone that'll say, well, at least the DC animated stuff, for the most part, is very fucking strong.
Yeah.
But none of them have won an Oscar, whereas they just went, we're going to do Spider-Verse, and it wins the Oscar. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of strong DC animated projects, but Spider-Verse, just we'll go get an Oscar here, fuck it.
Yeah, they never get like a kind of theater release or anything like that. It's all direct to DVD.
Yeah, I can't remember the last sort of big animated thing that even went to cinemas for a wee while, as you said.
Batman and the Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, that got like a limited thing,
Yeah.
and then it kind of got fucked over, even though it's probably the best. Maybe it's up
the
there for
best
sure. Like,
animated stuff, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
and then Marvel just like, we'll do, because bear in mind, pre-Spider-Verse, all the Marvel animated stuff is dog shit. Like, it's so bad.
Do you remember Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff like that for the Fox network?
Or like, I suppose, like, I'm thinking more like the animated films, like the sort of, you know, like
Very true.
Planet Hulk and all that shit. All good storylines, but just badly adapted. And if you've ever seen any Marvel animated stuff featuring the Avengers, whoever they get to voice Thor is a fucking psycho. It's like Hemsworth kind of has it nailed. It was like, Loki. This guy's like, Loki, you fucking cunt. And it's like, he's real proper, like, Shakespearean hack. Do you know what I mean? He's like, give me my hammer, you fucking window licker. No, I mean, it's just, he's a fucking idiot. Like, honestly, watch him just for whoever does Thor. That guy's like fucking. I'm trying to think if he's kind of like if Chris Farley was doing Boris Johnson. That's a
What a live action Thor with the reanimated corpse of Chris Farley.
Yeah.
But Boris Johnson is the costume maker. Like, oh, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I have to say, so we were all actually in the same room on our way to Stand Hall very recently too. How did you find Stand Hall this year? What about you, Heather, first? Because how long have you been doing stand up? I actually don't know how long you've been at this jazz.
start of 2019.
Oh, right.
So like
right.
on and off there, and then good thing nothing happened to disrupt the world and everything we hold dear.
Yeah.
Um,
And you still didn't watch
yeah.
Shawshank? We were in lockdown for 15 months and you still didn't bother your whole watching Shawshank. You definitely had the opportunity.
Didn't have the time. I had so much to do, just staring at the wall. I've never actually been to Stand Hall before, so I was like, that was a pretty nifty wee setup here, boys. But I find it really, really weird because like that was my first gig since last, I want to say May. So I was like, what a way to start.
Yeah, like a load of kids in the woods. Well, like not a load of kids, but enough to kind of make you aware that you're like, I have to change 99% of my set. Well, that's how most people think, but Jordy Robinson did not. He still did. Abortion!
Hey. I think of it as I have not invented these words. I did not invent the concept of abortion. Therefore, I am not held responsible for.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
I know. All I'm doing is holding a mirror up to society.
A highlight for me was I can't remember who it was, but somebody made like a reference to like getting engaged or married or something. And I went woo, and this woman leaned over to me from the crowd and went, "You wouldn't like that." It's like, okay, I'm sorry.
That's you told.
Fuck's
We'll never get married now just because of that one.
You were open to marriage, and then just some random Millie at Stanhall was like, "Don't bother your hole," and I'm like, "I know not. Like, no. I'll not do it anymore." It was a weird but kind of good gig because it was advertised as like an over 18 thing. And then my balls dropped. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? Fuck marriage. Do you know what I mean? But it was it's definitely disconcerting to have like kids in the front row. So it was weird because when I was watching all usings, you seem to have parents that were like very much like, oh my God, and covering their child's ears. But then in some cases, the parents are actually explaining the jokes to the kid, going, "You see, an abortion is a procedure." Which I'm not going to say considered with you, but it certainly crossed my mind. Your dad planted the seed. Your dad said he was going to pull it. Didn't bother his whole. I should have been wiping my shins with dental wipes, but no, he couldn't fucking pull out in time. And so it was weird. And even like who did a joke about Bobby Sands? Is that you, Jordy? Or was it? Yeah, it should have. He was like, he died for us and he didn't eat anything. You know what I mean? Like kind of like you when you were born, but in reverse. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You know, I eat no solids. Do you know what I mean? It was such a weird vibe, and like it was just, it's very weird. It must have been weird for you, Jordy, because you obviously, of the three of us, have the darker stuff. I just say stupid puns, and people sometimes like it.
I find it weird. I have that. This was like my third time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And they fucked me back each time, so there mustn't be any complaints. Like, if you're asking me, would I prefer that or just like a normal kind of like comedy club gig? Mm-hmm. I'm always going to prefer the comedy club gig, just because I think that kind of surrounding, low ceilings, everybody tight in, perfect breeding ground for COVID. That kind of atmosphere suits me best. But like being out there, I'm just like, I'm paid to do this. Let's do it. And then I'm off. Like I wasn't putting any stock in the gig.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Stand Hall isn't good and like the comedy isn't good or whatever, because it not necessarily for me, but for other acts and stuff like that, it's fantastic. Like,
yeah, it's kind of that thing that comedians deal with, where it's like, how do you find the balance of playing to the crowd in front of you while without compromising what you do? Do you know what I mean? Where, you know what I mean? So why should you? I know, like, when I used to do gigs in Ballymena with Kieran Bartlett in front of like 90 grannies, he would come out and say cunt like he had minutes to live, and say spastic, and talk about really niche things like Street Fighter. He'd have jokes about Street Fighter, Kill Switch Engage, and then come off and be like, what the don't get fucking any laughs there. And you're like, funny enough, 95-year-old Vera has no idea who fucking Cannibal Corpse are, and she hasn't seen Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Like, so funny enough, she's not going to laugh. He's like, what the fuck, mate? Like, here, she doesn't know about infrared. No, she has no fucking idea. That's a difficult one. Like, for you, Heather, where does Stand Hall feature in terms of all the places you played? Did you kick off at like Pavilion when you first started and stuff? And then what else have you done? So where does Sten Hall sort of feature for you?
I find Sten Hall weird because like you couldn't really hear like any feedback.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So I was like, I don't know how this is going. Just finger gun it out.
Yeah.
High kick. Get off the stage, baby. Like, I don't know, because I've done the Pav, and then I think my favorite place is either the Pav or Bennigan's. I like a good wee Bennigan's, but
where's that?
I don't think so.
What's Bennigan's? What's Bennigan's?
Chicken box.
Chicken box down Derry.
Oh right, is that what the actual place is called?
Yeah, Bennigan's Jazz Bar.
It's so good, but
okay.
I think it's kind of like in the middle of the ones I've done.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is one of those ones I was like, the surroundings, I was like, this is really, really good. And then I was like, I don't know if it's the right vibe for me.
It's certainly.
Was that your first festival, Heather?
Yeah.
Interesting.
In terms of like actually going, or you mean as like a comedian?
As like gigging at a festival.
Yeah, like for gigging it is, yeah.
Yeah. It does seem like a cool setup. To be fair, I would go even next year to Sten Hall, even if it wasn't on. I'd maybe, depending on the lineup, maybe check it out, because I still think we should have stayed and went to Flash Harry. That would have been
class.
That would have been amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
Recreating that scene from Shaun of the Dead.
With glow sticks. And that eight bottle, 8 pound tenner harp that we had to get, fuck's sake.
Hey, it's part of the festival experience.
It really is. Like.
But my first festival gig was my first gig back from when I came back from Chicago and Boston. Wakar, Mustafa Saeed, booked me onto the Leitrim Fringe Festival. There's a Fringe Festival in Leitrim, apparently. I went down for 2 nights, and the first night was fantastic. It was 10 out of 10, great. The second night I went down and I'm like, this comedy thing's so easy. I'm going to go down here and there's going to be a big time agent, and I'm going to get signed, and I'm going to move into a house with Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan and all those people. And it was one of the worst gigs I've ever done in my fucking life.
Yeah, that's so. As soon as you start to go, I think I've got a handle on how to do stand up, your next gig will be horrendous, and people will fling Champ at you from a distance, and you're like, what did you bring Champ? Did you order Champ from a QR code
Honestly,
on the table?
I wouldn't. If it was like wrapped in a package, I'd be like,
thank you
that's
very
a
much.
consolation prize if ever I've heard of one.
I would be
shit gig, but Champ in my pockets. It's a win for me.
I would be too concerned to eat unknown Champ. Like if the
origin. I'll eat whatever.
Because someone has ejaculated into that Champ. If they give it to me and go like, have at it, I naturally assume they've ejaculated into it.
The Jordan Robinson story. I naturally assume that's definitely the most. That's basically a new character for you, Jordy, the culty date rapist, where they just spike Champ.
When I actually find out my dad's not my real dad, I was like, I just assumed like you ejaculated.
This sock is crunchy. I just assumed you ejaculated. This pavlova is lovely. It's not even. Oh my god, the culty date rapist just knocks you out from behind with a big thing of turf, and then you wake up wearing dungarees and a sore arse.
Yeah. Like, that's weird. I wasn't wearing a super dry jacket when I went to bed.
You got the arse end of a rake in a place that you didn't expect. Do you know what I
mean? What's this tattoo? John Deere?
Why have I got the lyrics to Wagon Wheel in Arabic on my chest? Oh my god.
Worst night of my life, St. Patrick's Day.
Weird segue.
2012. I think it was 2012. So I was at a Halloween party and some fucking random guy came in and put 16 different covers of Wagon Wheel into the Spotify queue and didn't tell anybody. And then we were like, wait, what the fuck's going on here? There was like an opera version of it and all this shit. But then anytime anyone went near the phone to like change it, he was like, no!
No! How many versions of Wagon Wheel is there? Andre Ray.
Too many. I'd say 16, but there was probably more. 16 was the point when we managed to wrestle that aux cord away.
I'm just thinking of all the artists now who've maybe contributed a cover of that. It's about like Outkast, Bowie, Prince, the Venga Boys, Chico, Chesney Hawkes,
Yoko Ono.
Dido.
Morris Day and the Dido with the very fucking grim version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 8 minutes long. It's just her screaming about the lack of jam.
And there's also the 1999 Ipswich team did a charity release of Wagon Wheel in aid of Great Ormond Street Hospital for sick children. Don't forget that one.
Oh, really? How much money do you reckon they made for charity? You pay them
20.
to fuck up, do you mean?
25 quid.
Oh, speaking of football, by the way, now I wasn't at this, but when we went to Stendhal, I had Alan on the podcast a few days later, so we spoke about what you guys got up to before we drove down to Stendhal. Now, I wasn't at it, but I'd be keen to get your takes on the lunatic safari that you went on before we went to Stendhal. Jordan, you first.
Now, Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but was that your first ever football match?
It was.
You got so lucky.
I had a very fun time.
So basically what we went to was like a kind of, you know the way they, like Dave and Aaron had that sketch, Nordy Shore? This is the Nordy Shore equivalent of the Old Firm because it was Ballymakesh Rangers against Belfast Celtic. It's Clash of the Titans in the first round of the Irish Cup. And I drove down by myself and I met you guys there. So it was Heather, me, Alan and Ronan. And what, like, I wasn't here for this part, but what happened with the groundskeeper and Ronan throwing an apple or something like that?
Like as soon as we'd like made it on to like the right bit to like go up to the ground, like the parking place, Ronan just chucked a fucking apple core out the window and these guys were like, hey, wait,
get back here.
It's like he'd been holding this apple core for like fucking half an hour, like trying to say like, where can I throw this that it's kind of like for the birds kind of a thing. And then as soon as he did it, it was like,
I have to say as well, even when you were obviously we're in a Facebook Messenger group and I couldn't go. Well, I actually could have, but I thought I was going to be more hungover than what I was. So that's why I said no, because I didn't want to pull out. But just the idea of, like, I knew the vibe that you were going into for the match, that this is going to be like Phoenix Nights, GA sort of club. And then I was like, how is Ronan Linsky going to fit into this environment? Like the rest of you can kind of get along, but Ronan Linsky is he's like a human tribute to Wes Anderson films. Like he's the Grand Budapest Hotel on, you know what I mean? He probably showed up in like a bathtub on wheels, you know what I mean, listening to fucking Bjork on a Walkman.
Although there was like a really, really old guy there with a mullet as well, so we were like, oh, father.
Yeah, there's actually a photo of Ronan and the old guy as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, double denim, mullet, fucking
beautiful. The Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it finished 2-1 Ballymakesh Rangers, sending off a lot of sectarian hatred. It was great. I don't know. So Ballymakesh Rangers are based out of like Lisburn or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, we were sat between them and the Belfast Celtic fans.
The real buffer zone.
I picked the seats and I regretted it as soon as I did it. I was like, oh no. But then they started like whistling that song about Bobby Sands and you're just like, hey, remember where you guys are.
That's a yikes from me, dog.
Oh my
favorite part was there was this guy, I don't know if Alan said you about it, but the guy with the really angry neck. Oh fuck me. And he was like properly like like stomping around and stuff, and then there was just this guy from like the Celtic side of the stands was like, here, is that a hamburger in your mouth, you fat bastard? And he just sat down.
He felt so dejected.
It was amazing.
Like a puppy when you tell it off.
He was just pissing everywhere, and then
I hope to see him in the next round. If he's not there, I'm going to be annoyed.
I want to hear that guy on your podcast. Do you know what I mean? Just him talking about Michael Collins. That's the only that Bloody Sunday, and one of the Rambos. That's his like all the films. He's probably seen Shawshank, but he's in fucking McGabry.
I'll set that one out.
He's a poster of fucking Philomena Bagley on the wall, and he's scraping behind it.
Anderson.
He's like all those people that I just imagine from what you described there. It's just proper, like almost like going back in time. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously your setting was very old school, where it was like there's probably not even a till behind the bar, and it's probably got like those highlighter color like stickers for like pints, £2. Do you know what I mean? Like really old school. And if you got a rounding, the barmaid would be like, you know, like having to like calculate it herself. Hey, Decky, get that abacus, would you? And then there's like a sundial in the back. Kick off.
Yeah, Ronan went up to a shipping container where the bar was, and asked if he could pay for, what was it, like room temperature bottles of Budweiser with card.
Yeah.
Homosexual. Oh my god.
There was I can't even remember what game it was on the TV. Like it was like this really dodgy stream. They came down and were like, here's the remote, if it freezes press up down, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's
we're like fine.
It's like a PlayStation cheats or something. I'm playing Spyro the Dragon. Fuck's sake.
Wanted to watch United against Leeds.
So that was actually your first football experience, Heather. I mean, would you go back? Would you go to the next game for sure?
Fucking 100%. I had a great time. Like between like Alan's, like he has one of those like watches. I don't know if it's a Fitbit or whatever, but like it kept just being like, it looks like you're running. It looks like you're doing a core workout, because he was just pissing himself laughing so much. But like on mine, like you could like the heart rate monitor was like boop. I was like, oh, something funny happened there. Boop. It's like 160 beats per minute. You know?
Old sectarian chanting. That was that.
That's their workout. You know what I mean? They do like Joe Wick style, like 30 seconds of screaming abuse, and then just take a wee break, and then straight back into it. Coconut water, just a bounty flung into a deep rubber rock, and just drink away. Fuck's sake. Oh my god. Can I ask then, before we actually wrap up too, outside of gigs, have either of you been out on having a wee party, having a few drinks post-COVID? Because I want to get your take on post-COVID drinking.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your vibe, Heather?
Developed no regard for my liver. I find it weird having like going and sitting down, and then like obviously you have to put your mask on when you're going to the loo, but I'm like, that kind of, I'm like, I'm sitting breathing in this room anyway.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
Like
yeah.
I get it, and I do it, but I'm like, but I'm breathing all over this table and everything, and like everyone else is breathing the same breathing stuff.
Yeah.
Oxygen, I believe it's called.
If you want to get technical.
Okay,
for the scientists among us, I'm a woman in STEM.
The Mensa girl here fucking dishing out the
real galaxy brain energy coming from this.
Fucking Carol Vorderman on the podcast this week, mate.
I fucking love table service though. I never want it to end. My god, it's very fun.
It's very weird, actually. I find this at the Pavilion on Monday, Jordy, you know, because obviously they dim the lights during the show. As to sort of highlight the act, obviously, and you feel so bad for the bar staff just walking through the dark going, hey, I ordered a Guinness, excuse me, and everybody's like sort of paying attention to the open mic comedy where it's like, oh, it's the first time doing comedy, like first time I had sex, you're like, all good, No one's ever done that. I'm like, who ordered the Guinness? And it turns out it's like some cunt at the other end of the room. They're like, sorry about that. so we're just standing about in the dark with these like glow in the dark daiquiris, just being like,
just like playing pinball, just like bouncing from side to side. Like.
Who ordered the champ? Who ordered it?
Did anyone ejaculate into this champ while I wasn't looking?
Yes, it's gluten-free semen, so don't worry, you're all good.
This is proper semen from an celiac, so you know there's no gluten in it. Oh dear.
Oh my god, there's nobody worse in life than celiac people. Like I would go for pints with someone from ISIS quicker than a celiac. Do you know what I mean?
Do you also read like gluten-free stuff on menus? Says girlfriend bread.
Yes.
I'm like, oh wow, okay, we get it. Rub it in my face. Even this bread has a significant other.
It's very progressive. It's very progressive. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't mind the principle of being celiac. I know people that don't eat gluten for just health reasons, which is fucking very pretentious. But it's like they just grab the menu straight away and look as if like it's still a taboo thing to be celiac in 2021. You know what I mean? We're like, there's enough people
in
now.
1940s Germany, like.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Everybody who's celiac acts as if they're literally the only person in the world that suffers from it. Do you know what I mean? When they're just like, no, but see, I'm celiac, and you're like, I don't care. You'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
We've all had the shits. It's not that big of a deal.
We're man enough to admit it.
Yeah. Sometimes
gluten's delicious.
Sometimes you'd be glad of the shit. You're like, at least you know you're empty.
Yeah, good clear out, like.
It's not like you have a normal yite and then an hour later you're like, I have to go again. That's another shower I have to take, and I have to repaint the bathroom again. For fuck's sake.
I just traveled that like 20 minutes ago.
It's fucking mad. Hey, it's good to be back doing gigs again. So what is it? What have you got coming up to plug?
I'm doing the PAV next Monday.
Delicious stuff.
A treat
I
for
am
dreams.
also doing the PAV next Monday.
We should be friends.
We are already, Heather. We do a podcast together. We're already friends.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Guessing on podcast does not make you friends. You're a means to an end. You're.
I had to edit. Well, do I?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I might try and go to that. Actually.
Yeah. No, it's bar one person who I'll talk to you after this stops recording. It's possibly one of the best lineups the Pavs had in a good long while. Like.
Oh really?
It's me, isn't it?
It's not.
No.
It's just I don't want to be a dick on a podcast, but
too late, Jordy.
if you're listening to this and you're on the lineup, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what you did.
Anything else, Heather? I feel like it's my podcast now. Was there any other gigs coming up there, Heather?
No, I think I've just got the PAV.
Very
Sweet
decent.
old PAV, our Lord and Savior.
Old faithful. What about you, Jordy? You're in Lavs tonight, which
Lavery's...
is irrelevant because this won't be uploaded in time. So,
but I like to let people know I'm busy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
See, like literally at the end of every fucking Popped Kernels episode, he's like, "Oh yeah, really specifically this one date, I'm gonna be here." And you're like,
I'm doing an open mic
the
in Sierra
episode's been
Leone
released,
next
like,
week.
next year.
Jordy, not fussy with the gigs. You know what I mean? Going to the Philippines to open for
the Rowan Foundry or something like.
Heavy D and the Boys.
So yeah, Lavery's tonight. On Sunday, I'm doing a gig in the Deer's Head for it's a fundraiser for East Belfast GAA.
Oh, very
Nice,
decent.
nice.
Very decent.
Then I'm in Strabane, Coleraine, and there's one other one that I'm blanking on at the minute. Oh,
Yeah.
Sunflower.
Yeah, very decent. And then your Limelight show, how can people get tickets to that? I'll fire the link in the...
Ticketmaster.ie.
Very
They're up there now. There's not a low ticket warning because there hasn't been enough sold.
But when you get to that stage,
you're-
there'll be low ticket
We're
one.
getting there slowly, but one ticket at a time.
Yeah.
The 25th of February in Limelight 1. Tickets available on Ticketmaster.ie. If you just look up Jordan Robinson Tin Man.
Just Google it. I always feel weird asking people to like plug their shit. I'm like, just Google the guy's name and look for the place that you want to go see him, and you'll get somewhere.
I'm also doing a work in progress show before the actual show down in the Brickwork in Derry on the 11th of November.
Very nice.
And Heather is opening for me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Wow.
You looked very
Something to
surprised
look
there.
forward to.
I hope this isn't news because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Just so you know
This
too,
little
like
dum-dum.
I'm from very close to there. I will say this: the champ is very nice down there. So be aware that pre or post ejaculation, it's going to be buttery, utterly buttery, slutterly. It's going to be.
So many possible names for this podcast.
I know. I can't settle. Then Heather, where can people find your social medias, and where can people find Popped Kernels?
I am at Bad Sweet Girl on every single social media platform that you could ever have. The popping and locking means it's true. And Popped Kernels is on wherever all your favorite podcasts live. There's also a Stupid Sexy podcast if you like The Simpsons, but don't want to watch season 14 plus. We'll do it for you, and we'll die along the way.
That's
Me and
great.
Alan Irwin, friend of this cast.
Happy days. I think we should try and end this episode the way that I can't remember if we were recording, but we were attempting what's that dance called? Is there a name for it?
Yeah, it's the electric wave.
The electric wave it's called
Isn't it just the
it's
wave?
called the champ wank. That's what it's called. So I know. So thanks very much to both of you for coming on, and we'll do that to finish. Thanks very much. Very niceies. Cool. I'll just leave that there. You don't have to respond. You know what I mean? Just
You're welcome.
yeah.
Busy doing it.
Yeah, and then go see these people do stand up, listen to their podcasts, and because you still doing Injury Time with Darren, you still doing
They'll do an Injury Time
Yeah.
and Popped Kernels.
Unreal. And then
Heather Anderson.
let's do the champ wank dance to finish. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. Take it
Goodbye,
easy.
everybody.
All the best. We're like fucking just
Bye.
sectarian lava lamps.
It's the weirdest screensaver I've ever seen in my life.
I know. This is a GIF waiting to happen, isn't it?
Save your document.
Do you know what I mean?
My arms are tired.
I was about to say it's actually quite relaxing. Do you know what I mean? Like this could be like, if you just play this on a loop in the Galgorn. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, dear.